Okay, so the first reading is from Habakkuk 1, 2 through 3, and then 2, 2 and through 4. And I need a volunteer.
139.
You want to read, Audrey, since you're doing the lectionary?
Okay. A reading from the book of the prophet Habakkuk. How long, O Lord, I cry for help, but you do not listen. I cry out to you, violence, but you do not intervene. Why do you let me see ruin? Why must I look at misery? Destruction and violence are before me. There is strife and clamorous discord. Then the Lord answered me and said, write down the vision clearly upon the tablets so that one can read it readily. For the vision still has its time, presses on to fulfillment, and will not disappoint. If it delays, wait for it. It will surely come. It will not be late. The rash one has no integrity, but the just one, because of his faith, shall live. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. So this is a very common theme when we look out in the world and we see the violence and all this stuff that's going on, and we say, Lord, why aren't you doing anything? Look at this craziness. Why don't you act? And that's exactly what the prophet was saying here. And he was from the late 7th century, so 2,800 years ago. And it was right before the Babylonian exile. And so he saw this violence and this corruption, judges that were unjust, the oppression of the poor. And he looked out and he's just crying out to God, how long, Lord? He's crying for help, and you do not listen. And that's kind of a bold thing to say, that you don't listen, but it's kind of a heart-to-heart talk with, God, don't you hear us? We're dying here. Literally, we're dying here. And we can say that now. People have been saying that all throughout human history. But in the fullness of time, God does act. He will act. And that's what's kind of important here, is that in the fullness of time, he will act. And the Lord answered him clearly and said, write down this vision clearly upon the tablets so that it can be read, so one can read it readily. For the vision still has its time. So in the fullness of God's time, not in our time, we want things now, especially lately, where, during World War II, it was a couple years before people knew that the war had ended on some of the islands. But now everything's instantaneous. If you don't, you hear about something that happened 5 minutes ago and everybody knows about it in the whole world. That's unusual. And so we want instantaneous results. We want instantaneous gratification. And that's not what God's telling us. He's saying, be patient, right? We're called to be patient. His justice will happen in his time. And he also allows more time for the mercy for people to convert and come back to him. And so God hears it, and we have to trust that he will act. It's up to us to trust that God will hear us, God does hear us, and that he will act. We want to live with endurance. We want to live with integrity, and just humbly and know that God will act in his time. And so I think that's important as we're going through that. We don't get discouraged when we look around, because it can be discouraging. You mentioned that there was a lot of things happening this week, as in last week, as in every week. Our world is in turmoil, and there's a lot of violence and craziness and injustice that's happening. And it's normal for us to cry out to God, God, help us. We're suffering here. We're just trying to live righteous lives, and look what's going on. And God will answer in the fullness of time. And I think that takes trust on our part.